I still remember the exact moment my stepchildren looked me dead in the eye and told me they could replace me anytime. It was like someone had grabbed my ribs from the inside and pulled hard, stretching something that wasn't meant to bend. And do you know what makes it worse? They said it with the same casual tone you'd use to tell someone you're out of milk. No hesitation, no guilt, just pure, unfiltered disrespect. I stood there, staring at these kids I had raised, cared for, supported, and loved like my own, listening to them tell me that I was disposable, replaceable, swappable, like some cheap battery in a toy they were tired of. And the wildest part, they actually believed it. They actually believed they could snap their fingers, and I'd vanish, and someone else would happily step into my place. So I made a decision. I decided to let them try. And before you judge me, before you decide whether I went too far, let me ask you one thing. If the people you sacrificed years of your life for told you that your presence didn't matter, would you stay? Would you smile and keep feeding the same mouths that spit ungrateful words right back at you? Tell me, honestly, was I wrong for what I did? All right, let me start from the beginning, because trust me, this entire mess didn't appear out of nowhere. My name doesn't matter, not for this story. What matters is that I married a man with 2 kids from his previous marriage. I walked into their lives when they were still pretty young. The oldest, Adam, was around 11 at the time. The younger one, Lily, had just turned 9. Their mother wasn't in the picture much. She'd show up once every few months with gifts and fake affection, then vanish the moment reality, school, responsibilities, parenting, came knocking again. So, the actual work fell on me. I was the one doing school projects until midnight. I was the one teaching them to clean their rooms. I was the one sitting by their beds when they got sick, holding a bucket in one hand and stroking their hair with the other. I was the one cheering during their sports days, baking cupcakes for their birthdays, figuring out their allergies, remembering which shirt made them itchy, and which snacks upset their stomachs. Their father, my husband, did his best, but he worked long hours and relied heavily, very heavily, on me to handle the emotional and daily load of parenting. And I stepped into that role willingly, because I loved them. I loved them so much it scared me sometimes. There were moments I felt like I cared about them more than they cared about themselves. Moments where I'd watch them sleep and think, these are my kids, not step-kids, not bonus kids, my kids. And for a while, I believed they saw me that way too. But then they became teenagers, and everything shifted, slowly at first, like a door creaking open. Then, all at once, like someone kicked that same door off its hinges. Their biological mother started showing up more often. Not because she suddenly cared, but because she'd met a new boyfriend and wanted to make it seem like she was this caring, devoted mother. Optics. That was her entire personality. And she hated me. She hated that I was doing the job she had abandoned. She hated that I had the relationship with her kids that she wanted people to believe she had. So she poisoned them, subtly, strategically. A nasty little drop of venom every time she visited. Your stepmom doesn't let you have fun because she wants to control you. Your stepmom wants your dad all to herself. Your stepmom treats you like kids because she doesn't think you're mature enough. Your stepmom wants to send you away to boarding school so she doesn't have to deal with you. Lies. All of it. But you'd be surprised how fast lies grow roots when they're planted in the mind of a confused teenager. Before long, everything I did was a problem. If I said no, I was controlling. If I said yes, I was trying too hard. If I set rules, I was strict. If I relaxed them, I was manipulative. Every move I made, every word I spoke, somehow became evidence of me being the villain. And my husband? Useless. Absolutely useless. Whenever I told him something was wrong, he'd shrug and say, they're just going through a phase. Or worse, don't take it personally. as if I was supposed to just smile while being disrespected in my own home. Things escalated slowly. First, it was little comments here and there. Mom says you're boring. Mom says you're not our real parent. Mom says we shouldn't listen to you because you're not blood. Each comment felt like a match being dragged across my skin, leaving thin, burning lines that never fully healed. But then came the day everything snapped in half. Adam had come home from school grumpy. Lily was already in a mood because her mother had promised to take her shopping and then cancelled last minute. I was making dinner when they both stormed into the kitchen. They didn't want the meal I cooked. They didn't want to help set the table. They didn't want to do their chores. Normal teen stuff, but with an extra layer of pure attitude. I told them they could cool off in their rooms, and that's when Adam looked right at me with this smug, venomous grin. He said, "Why do you even try? You know you're not our real mom. We can replace you anytime." Lily giggled, actually giggled, and then she added, "Yeah, Dad can always find another wife, someone younger, someone who won't boss us around." I froze, not because their words hurt, which they did, but because of how confidently they said it, how certain they were that my place in that family was temporary, optional, replaceable, like they were doing me a favor by letting me take care of them. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the wall for almost an hour. I thought about everything I'd done for them, every birthday cake I baked, every late-night fever I soothed, every parent-teacher meeting I attended alone because their dad was working late. I replayed 7 years of memories, all the little moments that made me believe we were a real family. And then I replayed the look on their faces when they told me I was replaceable. That's when something inside me shifted. Not broke, shifted. More like something finally clicked into place. These kids didn't appreciate me. Their father didn't back me up. Their mother undermined me every chance she got. I was the only one fighting for a family that didn't even see me as a person. So I decided to stop trying. I decided to let them live exactly the way they believed they could, without me. The next morning, instead of waking up early to pack lunches, I slept in. Instead of spending my day cleaning the house, doing laundry, paying bills, signing school forms, and planning meals, I did absolutely nothing. I sat on the couch, drank tea, and watched the chaos unfold. My husband rushed around confused. The kids missed the bus. Nobody knew where their sports uniforms were. Dinner wasn't ready. Groceries weren't bought. Homework wasn't checked. And I stayed quiet, polite, calm, the unbothered queen, as they say. At first they thought I was being petty. Then they thought I was trying to teach them a lesson. Then they got annoyed. Then angry. But I didn't react. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I simply stopped participating in a system that relied entirely on me. A few days passed, and that's when the storm hit. Adam yelled at me first, saying it was my job to take care of them. Lily chimed in, calling me lazy, and then Adam repeated the same line that started all of this. "If you don't want to act like our mom, we'll get someone else to." That was it. That was the trigger. I stood up, looked them both dead in the eye, and said, "Okay, replace me." Their faces fell instantly. They didn't think I'd say that. They didn't think I'd actually leave. They thought they had leverage. They thought their words had no weight. They were wrong. I told my husband I needed space and packed a bag, not a suitcase, not a dramatic exit with boxes and tears, just a simple duffel bag with enough clothes for a 1-week stay somewhere quiet. And before I left, I told him, "Your children said they can replace me. Treat them accordingly. I'll be gone until you all figure out whether you actually want me in this home." Then I walked out. So that's the situation I was in. My stepchildren told me I was disposable, and I decided to show them what life without me looked like. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and really think about this. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have stayed and let them keep disrespecting you? Or would you have done exactly what I did and stepped back to let the consequences hit? Tell me honestly, because I'm curious. What would you have done? Alright, here's what happened after I left. First off, the house fell apart. Within 2 days, my husband was drowning. He called me asking where the kids' lunchboxes were, where the car keys were, where the utility bills were kept. I told him he'd figure it out, because that's what I'd been doing for years, figuring it out, alone. Meanwhile, the kids started complaining. They didn't like the food their dad cooked. Clothes piled up because nobody did laundry. They were late to school. They missed deadlines. Their rooms became disaster zones. Their mother, the biological one, refused to help. She said she was busy and told them to stop being dramatic. So now they had nobody, and the reality of what they'd said finally started sinking in. They missed me, but more importantly, they realized they needed me. You'd think that realization would soften them, humble them a bit, and maybe it did. But teenagers don't apologize easily, especially ones who'd been fed poison by someone who didn't want to see me succeed. After a week of peace, I agreed to come home, not permanently, just to talk. When I walked in, the house smelled like burnt toast and stress. The kids looked tired. My husband looked exhausted. They sat on the couch like defendants waiting for a verdict. And then Adam, the same kid who said he could replace me, whispered something I hadn't expected. He said, "We didn't mean it." Lily nodded and said, "We were just mad." I didn't yell. I didn't hold grudges. But I also didn't let them off the hook. I told them their words had consequences, that I wasn't a servant, that I wasn't a backup plan, and that if they wanted me in their life, they needed to show respect, not just expect me to carry the weight of the entire household. And then I said something that truly shocked them. If you think you can replace me, you're welcome to try, but I will no longer stay in a home where I am treated like I don't matter. That was the moment everything changed, because for the first time, they realized I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't trapped. I wasn't obligated. I was choosing to be there. And they could lose me. They apologized again, this time with tears, not excuses. My husband apologized too, and admitted he had let things go too far. He promised to step up, to support me, to not let the kids weaponize their biological mother's words again. And slowly, very slowly, we rebuilt. The aftermath wasn't pretty. Their mother tried to stir things up again, but this time the kids didn't fall for it. They told her straight up that her words had caused the entire meltdown, that they were tired of being manipulated. They started setting boundaries with her. She didn't like it, but they held firm. And in our home, respect became a rule, not an option. Did we magically turn into a perfect family overnight? No, but things got better. Real conversations happened, real growth. And for the first time, the kids understood what I actually brought into their lives. Not because I forced them to see it, but because they experienced the absence of it. They learned the hard way that family isn't replaceable, and neither am I. So here's my final thought. Sometimes people don't realize your worth until you remove yourself from the equation. Sometimes stepping back is the only way to make others step up. And sometimes, the people who think you're replaceable are the ones who need you the most. If you are on my side in this whole mess, like this video, subscribe for more stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your stepchildren said they could replace you? I'm genuinely curious. I'll see you all in the next story.